Good evening. Welcome to the city of West Miami. Today is Wednesday, March 18, 2015 at 7:38. For the invocation, Ms. Aguilar.
Thank you. Please rise. And let's bow our head this evening and thank the Lord for the daily blessings that we receive. We pray to God so that He can help in achieving world peace. We pray for our servicemen and women. We pray for our law enforcement officers so that they can return home safe to their families. We pray for our firefighters, and especially for the residents of the city of West Miami, those who are ill and frail. We pray for family union, and we pray for leadership. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Chief, for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Roll call. Commissioner Luciano Suarez.
Yes.
Commissioner Rhonda Rodriguez.
Present.
Commissioner Candida Blanca.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Juan Blanes. Mayor Eduardo Mujina.
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. I would like to take a few items out of order, starting with item 11. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, 11F, I think.
11F.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Item 11F, presentation by Commissioner Walter Harris from City of South Miami in reference to petition to the state of Florida. This item is sponsored by Commissioner Suarez.
Vice Mayor Walter Harris.
Vice Mayor.
Walter Harris,
Vice Mayor
City of South Miami. Welcome, sir.
Welcome to our city.
Thank you. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak and speak early and quickly. I really do appreciate it. You're looking at a person screaming in the wilderness, basically, until something gets going. But we have a situation here that really is not made up. You know, for 60 years, since World War II, South Florida has wanted to separate from North Florida. And North Florida wanted to separate from South Florida. South Florida was urban, North Florida was rural, South Florida was liberal, North Florida was conservative. Nowadays, roughly 70% of the revenue that is supplied to the state comes from the South Florida area that I'm speaking about, and roughly 67% of the population lives in South Florida. And we're treated like a distant cousin from Tallahassee. If any of you have been to Tallahassee, you know it's a fight just to even get recognized, much less get any support. So a number of times in the past, and not as recently as about 6 or 7 years ago, there has been attempts to separate, to partition and become a 51st state. But of course, it was only political and money. However, now there is an absolute unique situation, unprecedented, and that is global warming, climate change, rising sea levels. Dade County is the absolute epicenter of any major area on the planet as far as being in harm's way. The state's roughly 120 feet, roughly 100 feet above sea level average, but here in Dade County, it's less than 15 feet, and most of it's under 5 feet, including the Everglades and including, amongst other things, Turkey Point, Florida Power and Light, which is only 4 feet above sea level, and there's 2.5 million pounds of nuclear waste buried there, a disaster waiting to happen, but that's another story. Anyway, the situation is as follows. We no longer can have to deal with Tallahassee. As I told you, we send them roughly $19.5 billion of their $22 billion budget. We get back 85 cents on the dollar, which means they're keeping $3.5 billion of our money. I am trying to get other communities to get on board so that if nothing else, we can get the attention of Tallahassee to let them know we can no longer play games. We have got to build a lot of desalination plants, and things are even worse. And here in West Miami, you should notice, we are on limestone, porous limestone, so every time there's a high tide and it happens to rain, your sewers back up and there's flooding in the yards. It's nothing compared to Miami Beach, but it's annoying, but it's going to get worse. And it's getting worse all the time. And it's happening so much faster than anyone else had ever predicted. And this is unquestionable a reality, with the exception of our governor, who questions its reality. But normal people recognize there is rising sea levels. By the end of this century, the sea level will rise from 3 to 6 feet. This is a fact, and at the rate it's going, probably going to rise faster. Everything is happening so much faster than we thought just 5 years ago. I sponsored a resolution 6 months ago for the partition of the state. However, last night, I sponsored a resolution, and I tried to get it to you guys. It didn't come here, so I'm going to leave the actual resolution, asking for the Dade County League of Cities to create a committee to investigate the possibility. That's all I'm asking, that you will be willing to pass a resolution asking the League of Cities to create a committee to investigate the possibility of a 51st state, and with all the ramifications and everything else. Everyone says I'm out of my mind because you'll never get a new state. Well, this is unprecedented, so there may be a chance that we can consider this. And in the meantime, we need to get organized to deal with crises that are going to be just completely unprecedented. Even here in West Miami. By the way, I lived here 60 years ago, and it never flooded then. But the point is, I have here the resolution, and what I need is about 5 or 6 communities, and you're the first one we talked to since this happened last night, to pass this resolution, and then I can speak at the League of Cities about it, and then the League of Cities will create a committee. And it's one thing, to create a committee is not the same thing as saying, I want to separate. You just want to investigate the possibility of a 51st state, and if nothing else, a little saber rattling to wake them up in Tallahassee. Once we get a movement going, they're going to have to pay attention to us. I mean, you can't pay less attention than to deny the climate change and rising sea levels, as the governor has just recently said. So with that in mind, I thank you so much. I'm going to leave here my resolution because I thought it was sent by the clerk, but apparently it wasn't. So you get the original thing with my little notes on here that I'm going to speak from.
If you can leave it with the clerk or the city attorney, please.
Thank
I
you.
want to thank you all for allowing me to speak first, and I have to go to a viewing, so I do appreciate it. Luciano, I'll see you later.
Thank you, Walter.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Have a good
Vice
night.
Mayor.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This way. Oh, you,
No, he came this way. No, he came that way.
Walter. By the way.
I would like to, yes.
Let me make
Go
a
ahead.
comment. His father, in the 50s, he was a volunteer firefighter here in our fire department.
Wow, that's
When they
interesting.
living here, his father was a volunteer in the fire department. From the 56 to 63 or 64, they live here.
Excellent. Also, I would like to take out of order item 11E.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Item 11E, presentation of Healthy Weight Community Champion 2014 Award recognition from the Florida Department of Health. The presentation to the Mayor and City Commission of the City of West Miami by Karen Weller and Olga Corner from Florida Department of Health.
Hi,
Welcome
good
once
evening.
again.
My name is Olga Corner, and I work for the Florida Department of Health, and Karen Weller also from the Florida Department of Health. We were here before asking you to apply for an award given by the State Surgeon General for a city that promotes healthy living and healthy weight. And the city submitted an application. They put what they're doing with the citizens of the city of West Miami, and you were selected as one of the 2 cities that to receive an award in Miami-Dade County. So we wanted to read what it says here. It says the State Surgeon General, the Community Champion Recognition Program, Healthy Weight Community Champion 2015, presented to the city of West Miami in recognition of your efforts to promote healthy weight at the local level. And it's signed John Armstrong, Florida Department of Health and State Surgeon General, Secretary of the Florida Department of Health and State Surgeon General. In the public health, we consider the main problem that we're facing 10 years from now and that we're facing today basically is the weight of the nation. And there's been a lot of stuff that has been written and published and whatever, and that's why he's trying to promote healthy weight. So, and I came over here, I was here for a while, I saw people walking, a lot of people walking in front of City Hall.
Yes.
So if you want to come and get the award,
Mayor, if
let's
you
come
want to
forward,
join
please.
Olga and Karen Weller, and we can take some pictures and put it up on the website, and obviously, this is a tool that may help the city in the future acquire grants as well for programs. Very nice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I know the two people over there are normal. And Yolanda and the other one. Now I know everybody. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Very nice seeing you again. Oh, how nice. This is nice.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Ven para acá, caminé por la tarde.
Que me quisiera mudar para acá.
It's very nice.
A lo mejor sale una foto así. Qué frío.
Bueno, we'll do it later.
Okay, I would like to take one more item before we get back to the order of the agenda, and that will be item 10A.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Item 10A, presentation of recognition to Mr. Jean-Marc Gerardine and Q Strain for the outstanding assistance in providing necessary fastening assembly for City of West Miami Police Officers' tactical equipment by Mayor and City Commission.
Thank you. Is this the chief? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, for the record, can the chief read into
Yes.
the record this recognition that you will be awarding this evening?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, thank you for acknowledging someone who, again, has helped the police department. We were able to get a grant to buy certain emergency personal equipment for our officers in the event they are injured or shot or hurt in an automobile accident, so that they can render first aid to themselves, stop traumatic bleeding, and so forth. We had all these things, and then what do we do with it? Do we put it in a bag and have it in the trunk? Do we do this? And we had some help figuring out the best way to do it, and we were able to put all these things, we decided, I should say, to put all these things on the vest so that when the officer grabs the vest and puts it on, he or she has all of these potential life savings gear with them. It was expensive to have these things. You can't just put them on because they're rough and they're handled roughly and you don't know what's going, so they had to be put on correctly. And we got a hold of the Q-Strain staff, and through George Diaz and Lieutenant Delgado, we were able to get the help that we needed. The fasteners, the clips, the sewing of these items onto the vest were done at no charge to the police department and to the city of West Miami or its residents. And I feel that it was very appropriate to acknowledge Joe and Q-Strain for his help and making our job just a little bit easier. Thank you.
Thank you.
certificate of appreciation presented to Q-String. The mayor and the city commission of the city of West Miami honor the commitment to civic responsibility and communal welfare through the generous donation of a fastening assembly to the city of West Miami Police Department for the officers' tactical vest carriers. This product was designed and manufactured under the supervision of the production manager, Joe Esteredo, who we truly appreciate your dedication to making the world a safer place and hereby extend our wholehearted thank you for caring for those who serve and protect. Dated this 18th day of March 2015, Eduardo H. Muiña, Mayor, Juan M. Blanes, Vice Mayor, Rhonda A. Rodriguez, Commissioner, Candida Blanca, Commissioner, and Luciano L. Suarez, Commissioner. Thank you very much, Joe. Highly
Okay,
appreciate it.
come forward, please.
Barbarísimo.
Thank you very much.
Take one there.
O sea que yo empecé a invitar a gente para que fuera al evento de League of Legends. Entonces recibí una llamada hoy de League of Legends y le digo, oye, that's very nice. You have to pay $150 for each person.
Sí, tú me dijiste que tenía que pagar 150 pesos. Y nosotros estamos en Tallahassee, Sydney.
¿Y esto qué cosa es?
Un donation que le hicieron de unos AES a la departamento de policía. Un son como unos life saving kits. Yes.
¿Y esto qué cosa es?
Well, they're called AES. Son los AES son como los defibrillators. AEDs son como los defibrillators. That's what it is. Yeah, we use one of them to save the life.
Dicho que eso se pudo.
Levantar el muerto.
Ronda, ¿viste? Thank you. ¿Tú lo viste?
Sí. Yeah.
Share the wealth, ¿verdad?
Bueno, seguimos. ¿Tú lo viste, Juan? ¿Tú lo viste? Yo sé,
Ok.
pero no te puedo enseñar.
¿Cómo se llama? Joe, no. Joe, I'm sorry. Do you want to say anything? I'm sorry, I missed that.
No, it's all good. I just want to thank you very much. It's very generous, and just glad that I could help. And thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right. No, thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to, time is clicking, and we have some public hearing items on the new business. I would
Mr.
like to
Mayor, we
go
need to address the issue of the minutes.
before everything. Okay,
Los minutos.
can we, all right, so item 4.
Item 4, presentation of minutes for approval for March 4th, 2015, regular city commission meeting.
Motion to approve?
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. Can we go then to item 11A?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Item 11A, this is a public hearing. This public hearing was advertised in the Miami Herald following statutory requirements on, one moment, please. on March 5, 2015. Item 11A, public hearing, request for waiver of plat. Applicant Nicolas Fernandez, manager of SRWM Townhomes LLC, requests a waiver of plat for the property at 900-902 Southwest 66th Avenue, West Miami, Florida 33144. The property is 50 feet wide by 110 feet deep. The parcel of land currently is zoned R2 duplex dwelling. The applicant is requesting a waiver of plat to allow individual ownership of dwellings to single-family units. The lot size is required 5,450 square feet. The two units are divided by a CBS party wall, and the maintenance of the exterior of the property is part of covenant with running with the land. All models consist of 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, with living room, dining room, family room, and kitchen. West Miami Code, Section 12.3 B2.
Mr. Fernandez,
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
welcome to the city of West Miami.
Good evening.
Once again.
Good evening to all. There's not much to say. These are two, this item involves a single, a duplex that, brand new, the new construction that is being, we could, as an option, do a condominium on it, but a 2-unit condominium, it's not in our view the best way to do this. It would be better to go single family, to have their own backyard, their own front, everybody parks in their own, all they share is the wall and the roof. And declaration of restrictions does the job, and I would like to turn over basically the control of the units, rather the condominium association, to the city of West Miami, so they can, it's very hard for the discipline of a condominium governance to be done by 2 homeowners, basically sharing, they just don't follow the procedures of condominium. And I think it's better for all that they each would have their own single-family home, and they'd be addressed independently as such, and regulated by the city of West Miami directly. That's what I have to say.
Okay, thank you. I would like to hear from Mr. Pena.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Basically, this Section 12-4 of the City of West Miami Code allows for waiver of plats in order to be able to subdivide property as long as it doesn't exceed 6 units. This is one unit being subdivided, one lot being subdivided into 2 in order to allow for individual ownership of each side. There's a restrictive covenant for the exterior and the maintenance of the property that will also go with the property, and also there's opinion title and a site survey to indicate which is part A and part B.
Okay,
All right-of-ways have been previously dedicated, so there is no requirement for plating.
okay, thank you. I would like to hear from the city attorney.
I have no objection to it. I have reviewed it, and it's perfectly okay with according to our code.
Okay,
This is a public hearing, so you need to open it for the
I will in a minute. I want to hear from anything else from staff, from the management.
No, sir.
Okay. At this time, I would like to open the public hearing. Anybody wants to speak on the subject? Nobody
No
signed
one
up?
has
Mr. Mayor,
registered.
nobody.
Okay,
That's registered.
we close the public hearing, back to the table. Any questions?
You are the expert. We want to hear from you.
Okay, well, I don't have any questions. Actually, I believe I think it's a good idea. And the reason, I can tell you why. In my experience, a 2-unit condominium doesn't quite work because there's cost involved in it. And bottom line, after, the developer is gone, basically doesn't last very long, and that creates a situation between neighbors and so on. So the best way is to, everybody, owns their own property, and have, so the only, in this case, from what I understand, and I read the restricted covenant, that will give the authority to the city of West Miami to basically impose instead of a condominium association, in terms of colors, in terms of unity, to maintain both properties and so on. So I believe it's a good thing, rather than, yes.
This is the story.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You know, I saw in Coral Gables, near Lejeune Road, something very similar to this. Of course, in Coral Gables are more elegant, more pride, more expensive thing, but the same idea. They make it two homes, they separate in the same structure with 2-story. Beautiful, it's working there. I know the one guy who lives there.
Commissioner, these are elegant too. I saw them too.
And I tell you, but go and see the Coral Gables. It's Lejeune, east from Lejeune, about 6 blocks from Miracle Mile.
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
But I like the idea too. I don't see any problem.
Okay, any other comments? Vice Mayor, go ahead.
I got a question. I've seen it, but I don't recall what color they are painted. Are
They-
they both units painted the same color?
They are, right now, the one lot, or the 2 units in the one lot one is white with gray features, and then it's reversed on the other lot.
Okay, so it's symmetrical.
Yes.
It blends in. And my question is, in the future, when the properties need painting.
It's addressed in the
maintenance,
covenant.
There is a what?
It's addressed in the covenant. Both sides have to paint at the same time.
Not just that, but the colors.
Identical.
Is there, okay, because since they're gonna have private ownership, one guy might wanna paint it.
No.
Although we have our color code that is restrictive, but, if one goes to one extreme and then the other one goes to the other extreme, you could have something that
No,
will be stark,
it's covered in the covenant.
It is.
Yes, and you're buying into the property with the covenant recorded as running with the land,
So
so.
what does the covenant say about the painting? You can understand my questioning here,
No.
Mr. Mayor, right?
No, I know, but I read the covenant. That's
Oh,
why.
you did?
Yes,
So-
yes.
So let me ask you,
We are
in your
covered.
estimation, we are?
Yes,
Okay.
we are covered.
Mr. Pena?
Exterior coloration. In order to maintain uniformity, the entire exterior of the 2 residential units have been painted in the same color. The aesthetics of the continuation of a common color for the entire exterior premises applied in a uniform fashion. It is in the best interest of the owners of the residential units. Therefore, in the event that both of the owners of the 2 residential units agree to a uniform change of the exterior color, then in that event, the entire exterior premises of the residential unit, the entire exterior premises color would be changed to a new paint color. However, in the event that both residential unit owners cannot agree as to the exterior color change, then in that event, the exterior coloration shall remain.
Okay, good, that answered my question, thank you.
When they buy, it's in the covenant. It's a restricted covenant that goes with
That
the
goes
land.
With the land.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Motion.
Okay?
No, they have to
We
read
must read the item, Mr. Mayor.
And
We need to read the resolution.
just for the record, we also notified 500 radius feet around the property.
Thank you. Actually, you need to read the ordinance.
Yes, sir. May I, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, item B, please.
Item 11B, an ordinance of the Mayor and City Commission of the City of West Miami, Florida, granting the request for a waiver of plat for the property known as 900 and 902 Southwest 65th Avenue, West Miami, Florida, to allow individual ownership of the single-family unit divided by a party, a wall and declaration of restrictive covenant running with the land for the exterior maintenance of the property and the allowed use of the property zoning ordinance 282, Section 4, and West Miami City Code, Section 12.4, providing for severability, providing for an effective date by Mayor and City Commission.
That's what
I
I'm
need
saying,
a-
Mr.
I have
Mayor.
a motion, I need a second.
We did open that for public hearing, is that correct?
We
Yes, we did.
open and we close, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I have
Motion
a,
by Commissioner Suarez,
Second.
Second.
Commissioner.
Second by Commissioner Blanca.
Can you call the vote, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Vice Mayor Blanes, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanca?
Yes.
Commissioner Suarez?
Yes.
Mayor Mujina?
Yes.
5-0, item passes.
Okay, can you read item C, please?
11C, yes, Mr. Mayor. Item 11C, public hearing. This public hearing was advertised in the Miami Herald on March 5th, 2015, following statutory requirements. Request for waiver of plat, applicants Nicolas Fernandez, manager of SRWM Townhomes LLC. Applicants request a waiver of plat for the property at 904-906 Southwest 66th Avenue, West Miami, Florida 33144. The property is 50 feet wide by 110 feet deep. The parcel of land currently is Zone R2 duplex dwelling. The applicant is requesting a waiver of plat to allow individual ownership of dwellings, two single-family units. The lot size is the required 5,450 square feet. The two units are divided by a CVS party wall, and the maintenance of the exterior of the property is part of covenant running with the land. All models consist of 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, with living room, dining room, family room, and kitchen. West Miami Code, Section 12.3B2.
Can you read item D into?
Yes, Mr.
the record,
Mayor.
please?
Item 11D, an ordinance of the Mayor and City Commission of the City of West Miami, Florida, granting the request for a waiver of plat for the property known as 904 and 906 Southwest 65th Avenue, West Miami, Florida, to allow individual ownership of the single-family unit divided by a party wall and the declaration of restrictive covenant running with the land for the exterior maintenance of the property and the allowed use of the property. Zoning Ordinance 282, Section 4, and West Miami City Code, Section 12.4, providing for severability, providing for an effective date by Mayor and City Commission.
Thank you. Basically, this is a kind of a mirror image of what was happened before, so, but we need to read it into a record.
Correct.
So, Mr. Penna?
This is the lot adjacent to the first one that you just approved, with the same covenant, same restrictions. We notified 500 radius feet around the property in the same fashion.
Okay.
Motion.
It's a
No, no, no,
public hearing, we need to-
wait. Mr. Fernandez, you want to add anything to it?
No.
Okay. Need to open the public hearing. Anybody wants to speak on the subject?
Nobody has
Okay.
registered, Mr. Mayor.
We close the public hearing. Back to the table. Any questions? Okay, I have a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Okay, can you call the vote, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Vice Mayor Blanes, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanca?
Yes.
Commissioner Suarez?
Yes.
Mayor Mujina?
Yes.
5-0, item passes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Nicolas.
Keep investing in the city of West Miami.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do I need to take any suggestion, any other item out of order, or should we go back to the order of the agenda?
I recommend to go back to the order of the agenda, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, all right, so let's go back to item 5.
Item 5, report of the city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Commission. I don't have a written report tonight. As you know, we were quite busy with the Art and Music Festival that took place last week. But we come back to you on a very upbeat note. We don't have a financial detail yet because payroll has not been tallied. So it is our intention to come to you at the next meeting and give you a report on the revenues and the expenses and a report card of where we should have improved or areas where we did not achieve what we planned to. And I think for a first event and with the limited funds that we had, I think it was outstanding. And from a financial perspective, everybody pitched in, and all the department directors that had anything to do with it really took it into and made it a personal thing and made it happen. So I want to commend publicly Mr. Penna and his department, and Chief Andrew and his department for the security and Kari, Mr. Quintana, and I know that the mayor has probably some comments he'd like to add. Jumping into another project, on March 28th, we are assisting Vice Mayor Blanes with the Easter egg hunt. This morning, actually, we picked up the flyers. These flyers will be hand-delivered starting this evening. The kids from the rec center, the employees from the rec center are going to help us with the delivery process. We have a couple of sponsors. They're named in the back, and it's Baptist Health, Total Bank, Florida Education Institute, and Executive National Bank. And the hot dogs and the hamburgers are being donated by Greater Miami Catering Service. So we should have a nice event. We are taking care of the bounce houses and all the goodies for the kids. And the shopping will take place tomorrow afternoon for the baskets and all the activities for the kids. So it's been quite busy downstairs. The next two items on my report is we have we were not awarded, and pardon me, the COPS grant. We continue to file applications every year. It's kind of bittersweet. On one note, we have to be thankful that our crime stats are not there, and because we live in a very safe community, and but we continue to apply for funding, and maybe someday the Department of Justice will consider sending some money our way. The next item in my report is the list for the projects for FERDAP. Were published in the Department of Environmental Protection website. We have an application for $150,000 for a large project for the roof overhang over the basketball courts at the West Miami Recreation Center. We ranked 108 out of 130 applications. We were tied for one, and I think that we've done, from an administrative and grant writing perspective, we've done our end, and I think that the commission now need to follow up and call our legislators. And when you visit in Tallahassee, if we can state our case and tell them we're trying to enhance our park so that we can make it pleasant, so we can bring in leagues and promote a healthy lifestyle in the park. And I think you should talk to your legislators and encourage them to fund these projects, because they're all worthy. So we'll continue to keep you posted on these developments. I did speak to Fausto Gomez yesterday, and to Manny Reyes from our legislative team, and they are working hard in Tallahassee to state our case on behalf of this project.
Okay.
That concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. One more item. I will be meeting with the auditor in the coming days, and hopefully your audit report will come back, will be placed on the next City Commission agenda.
Okay, thank you. Next item.
Item 6, report of the city attorney.
There's nothing reported by the city attorney.
Okay, next item.
Item 7, report of the city engineers, none this evening. Item 8, committee report of the mayor.
The only thing that I have to report is, I was going to take it on the city manager report, is in reference to the art festival, music and art festival. I'm glad to say that it was a success.
That's great.
To be honest, to plan something in less than 60 days, that was amazing. I'm grateful for everybody that participated and worked very hard. The police department, everybody from Public Works, and as you mentioned before, specifically members of the staff like Kari and Quintana, and everybody, because I know everybody pitched in. Many have gotten a lot of phone calls, even got a letter this afternoon saying thank you. It was amazing. It was I really feel blessed that we have the type of city that we have, and we were able to showcase it to people that are not familiar with the city of West Miami. I was even invited to a TV show that was interviewed by Garcia Fuste, which everybody knows in this town. And that was, we talked about the festival and how excited. He participated in the festival. He actually came to the festival.
Yes, he
And
did.
again, I don't want to keep talking about it, but I'm very excited. I'm grateful that it went the way it went. So with that, I don't have anything else. Any other reports?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, sir?
Yes.
I just got a message, actually a text message from Frank Alonso from T.Y. Lin. He just passed the building official exam with the state of Florida, so.
All right.
Yes, I wanted to report that, and hopefully I'll be in a position to issue the building official letter in the coming days.
Excellent,
So,
excellent.
yeah, a job well done, tremendous sacrifice and studying went on, and he wanted me to share the accomplishment with the commission, so.
Mayor, I
Yes.
have a request from the manager. You have to make a special effort to get in the budget to buy some pastelitos for Mr. Alonso for his effort.
I think it would be nice if we do something, absolutely. Have like a quick intermission, or
flowers,
maybe
no-
even before the meeting. I think it'd be,
I think it's a great idea.
We could have another art festival. Way I know that the manager worked very hard because during those days, every time that I call, she says, I cannot take care of you, I'm busy with the art festival.
Oh, you're jealous. No, thank you very much for that good news, okay? Anybody else on the reports? Okay, let's go on to the next item, 9.
Item 9, citizen presentations, and register these Jose Bowles to speak before the commission.
State your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening,
and
Jose
welcome.
Bowles, 5847 Southwest 9 Terrace. Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commission, good evening. As a resident of West Miami, first I wanted to congratulate you for the Art Festival. We've been a resident here for 3 years, and I think that's the type of events that we need in the city, not only to feel as a community, but obviously to showcase what we have here internally. So again, congratulations to the entire team that put that together. The second thing that I wanted to ask and kind of get maybe direction was, what are the restrictions, if any, with regards to having farm animals in our properties?
That's a question that I will have to
Farm
direct to the city attorney.
Farm animals.
Farm animals, they're not allowed.
They're not allowed in the city of West Miami.
Okay.
What
So-
sort of farm animals are you talking
So
about?
the
Cows,
chickens and roosters that are on Sylvania, that,
They're not allowed in the city of West Miami.
so what is the appropriate measure that a resident should take in order to, number one, not have that in our community, and number two, obviously for safety issues, not having chickens and roosters running in our neighborhood? Is there a specific, a process for me to file, or what is it that we can do? I know I've talked to police officers, I've talked to, I think his name is Mr. Charles, who's
Charles McDermott.
Charles McDermott. I've met with him personally, and several phone calls, emails, and it still continues to be, in my opinion, an issue. So I wanted to know what was the exact process, if any, when it comes to that.
I will have to yield to the attorney, or,
Is this the first time you hear about it?
no,
No.
no.
Okay.
no, I've brought this issue up before with
Okay.
the city manager
Okay?
and law
Correct.
enforcement.
And I
Mr.
think we
Penn.
should, Mr. Mayor, if I may, I think we should yield to Mr. Penna. He is the Chief Code Enforcement Officer, and it's a problem that the city is not ignorant to. And it's a very serious one for us as well. So if we could hear from Juan and the developments.
Our efforts have been in an effort to capture these fowls. What has happened is, the area residents, some of the area residents that live there feed them, and no one takes ownership of them. We did cite properties that had chickens on their property, and they did remove them. The rest are running at wild. We have contacted companies to come and pick them up. They weren't successful. So we went ahead and we bought a cage to go ahead and trap them and catch them and release them in farms. As of last Friday, we caught one in the cage. As of today, I was informed that the cage that we purchased and placed and locked with a chain was removed by somebody who stole it from the area. So we're back to square one as far as trying to catch them. They're not domesticated animals. They're running wild. Nobody there takes ownership of them, but yet there's several people that feed them in the area, and they've multiplied over the period of time they've been there. So I believe there's now in the range of 13 to 14, with about three roosters and the rest chickens. But we are trying to capture them.
Okay. Typically during citizen presentation, we listen and we take, but this is a matter that I need some guidance over here, Mr. Attorney Leverage. Does the police department has any jurisdiction over this, or can we enforce any particular law?
The issue is that we don't have anyone that claims ownership of those animals. We just heard from Mr. Pena, if the citizen has any personal information as to where and how, we could send code enforcement again.
Yeah, now, there's absolutely one house in particular, again, that I visited with Mr. Charles, where that corner on Sylvania, right by the gas station, there's a house that not only feeds them, not only do they have the food outside, but they're the ones who are keeping them in captivity in their yard. Obviously, I don't have any, legal matters to be able to enter their home, but I would assume that the police department or code enforcement, something, not only, again, for safety issues, but also, we don't want to have roosters running around wild in the street. We want to improve our city. We don't want to be,
Madam Manager?
Just for the purpose of clarification, the code enforcement department cannot enter private property without authorization from the owner of the property. The police department cannot take action here unless there is a crime involved. If you have a cruelty to animal situation, then we have the police department coming in and investigating the matter. So code enforcement follows a process, but code enforcement is hard to attain compliance with code enforcement because not always do we have the participation that we need from the property owners or the tenants who reside in the properties where the violation is occurring. So if you have someone who's not claiming ownership for these animals, then we don't have a case to build or mount against somebody because the fact that they are in a yard, it's like a loose cat, and no one claims ownership, therefore we don't have any muscle to enforce our code enforcement regulations. I want you to know that we're not ignorant to it. We had purchased a piece of a trap to try to trap them and maybe take them out to the farmland or whatever the process established by the Dade County Code is, and someone removed the trap. So we're going to have to purchase another trap and try and go back to square one and try to capture the animals without hurting them.
Right. And then as far as making, I guess, a fine, or is there a way to create something into the laws of West Miami, or the city of West Miami, to state that if you have XYZ, meaning these type of animals, that there's specific fines that you can have, which would allow that owner who's not taking ownership of these animals to make sure that they're not in their property. If you tell me you're gonna fine me $500 per day, for example, for having these animals that they're not supposed to be there, I would make sure that I do everything in my power to make sure that they're not in my yard.
If I may, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
sir, we do have an ordinance that establishes daily fines for people who violate the code for properties, but the fines go against the property, not against the individual. That's the way that the laws work.
Okay.
So if you have a property and you have a property owner does not claim ownership for these animals, there's absolutely no fine, that nothing will stick, because
Okay.
you cannot build a case against someone who does not have a stake, an ownership stake in the matter. So
Okay.
it's a very difficult situation, and we understand
Right.
that this is a public nuisance and a welfare issue.
Yes, Commissioner?
Mr. Penna, just a thought, since the last cage was stolen, as opposed to spending money, I don't even know how much it costs, but putting another one out and the likelihood of it getting taken again is quite high. I know there are organizations that professionally do animal removal.
We contacted them.
We did.
And they weren't successful.
They couldn't catch the
They
chickens.
couldn't catch them. They're wild, so they run, they fly, they avert capture.
So
That's
what-
why the trap was the ideal thing to do, and it was working, because we caught one, but obviously someone in the area that is favored to the animals being there, I would imagine would be the one to have removed that, because it's not even visible from the street where we put it.
Oh, okay. So,
Can I make a suggestion? Because we can talk about this all night, and we need to move on to the next one. We acknowledge your comment. We are working with it within the law, and the only thing that I'm going to suggest is perhaps, and Mr. Villalobos, I hate to put you on the spot, but to look into this matter to see if we can, and I know that you will have to review the, whatever ordinance we have and so on to see if we can,
I will do that, of course, but the
Yes.
ordinance that we have refers to ownership of fowl or ownership of animals. The thing is that whoever we find that can say, well, it flew on my yard, and that's about the worst that they could get. I remember that not a long time back, I saw on television a whole series of filming of fowl going around neighborhoods, especially in the city of Miami, and they went out with nets and everything, and the fishing net and whatever, and it was really, really bad. My own mother-in-law has the same problem in her home. We shoot them away, but they keep coming. So we have called the code enforcement, City of Miami Police Department, and all of that, and it's really a problem. And I think catching them is just about the best way that you could do it.
right, but, okay, there's a particular comment the gentleman referred to, a particular house having them in captivity. If that's something that you can see,
If you have a plain view of something being committed, then you can assert that by setting a notice and then the code violation. But if you don't have the actual code inspector or police officer viewing a crime being committed or a violation of the ordinance being committed, it simply, we can notice them, but how is it that we're going to prove that someone is feeding chickens? It's very difficult unless somebody shows that they're trying to attract those chickens. At some point, we had pigeons here. We had a home that had carrier pigeons, and it was a problem, but we could identify the ownership.
Mr. Mayor, the property in question with the coop has been cited, and now code enforcement is taking its route.
okay, all right.
What? I didn't hear that.
How, Mr.
The
Penna,
property in question has
why were
been
they cited for?
Raising and maintaining fowl,
Okay,
which is not allowed.
okay. So, and they're gonna deny it?
No, it's not whether they deny it. It's in plain view. You could see it from in their yard.
Okay.
But the fact is that I could cite you with it, but until you decide
To do
what the
some-
value of the offense is, you're not going to remove them, so.
So we do have a case? We do
Yes.
have a leg to stand on?
On that
We-
property, yes.
We just have to go through the process?
On that property, but that property is not,
The
the
only,
ones that are running loose are not in that property. They're all over the area.
Oh, I know, believe
Okay.
me, this has been an issue
The-
that I brought up to the city
Yes.
manager, and we try to brainstorm about, how...
The ones in captivity are the ones that we cited the property for.
Now,
Okay.
I know there's chicken feed on that little triangle there, right, just south of the gas station?
That was us,
Oh, that was us.
in an attempt to capture
To
the,
lure them, okay, all right.
exactly.
All right, so like I said, we can talk about all night, we acknowledge, and we'll do our best to,
I
And
happen,
we're-
I happen to feel the same way you do.
and we're in agreement, so,
Mayor, let me make a short very short comment.
Yes.
You may be sure that something will be done, because I don't think it's necessary to bring from Harvard University an expert in rooster trapping to get those animals. So has been, the issue has been, Vice Mayor Blanes has been brought to the manager's office, so something will be done, because this is running too much. Thank you for coming.
Next item, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, item 10B, follow-up report by the Office of the City Clerk in reference to the request by Department of Elections to allow the use of the West Miami Community Center as a polling place. Following your instructions from the meeting of March 4th, 2015, this office reports that John Mendez, the Deputy Supervisor of Elections Operations Division, was contacted, and he clarified that what was your question at the meeting of March 4th, which was if the election date and early voting were inclusive in the proposal, in the proposed agreement by the Elections Department, and Mr. Mendez clarified that election date and early voting are handled independently, one from the other. So the dates for election dates on the 2016 year are on March 1st, the presidential preference primary election, on August 30th, 2016, the primary election, and on November 8th, 2016, general election. And on the 2016 year, we also have our municipal elections, but those are our elections. So although the aforementioned dates are not, do not represent a conflict with summer camp or other dates, I checked. So I'm submitting again to your consideration the request by the Elections Department to use the community center for election dates. Also, I want to clarify that their request also involves a day before for the delivery of the equipment and pickup of the equipment the day after the election. So we are talking about like 2 or 3 days of the use of the community center. Last time they used the community center for early voting, we were able to place the equipment on one side, and the community center was used as regularly, so it did not represent a conflict for the use of the community center. So I just wanted to inform you of that for your knowledge.
Now that we have this item was deferred from last time because I wanted to have a full board. So I just want to hear comments from the board, how you feel about it, and so we can direct the city clerk to take action.
I have a question.
Commissioner.
You said that last time the elections was held there and do not interfere with the community center? With the
What we
seniors?
had at the community
No, that's not
center
what you
was
said.
early voting. Early voting, and actually, the community center was used like for a period of 15 days. But the fact when they delivered the equipment,
No, that's not my question.
okay.
My question
Okay,
is, the
your
day
question.
they bring here the elections,
Uh-huh,
we cannot use the community center for our senior residents' activities.
Correct.
We have to close the activity for the
a
senior
day
residents.
prior and a day after.
3 days, the day
Yes.
prior, the day, and sometimes
Yes.
the day after. So
Yes.
we have to think that if they bring the elections there, our seniors residents have to be removed from to me, it's a negative thing. There has been having the elections in the public library by Flagler and 56 for years. For years has been there. Now, to bring here elections is to close the dining room, we call dining room with our seniors have the meal for 3 days. So I am totally opposed to that, because this is inconvenience for our city. On top of that, we have expenses for that I don't think they reimburse those expenses. But on top of that, the worst thing is that we have to remove our senior residents from the community center for elections. And the election for years has been held in other places. So now this is something new that, in my opinion, we should not allow that. My opinion.
Anybody else?
Mayor, I have Commissioner Suarez, regarding the expenses, the county,
They do reimburse.
they do reimburse the
But I
city.
told you
for-
this is not the most important thing. The most important thing is remove the senior residents.
Commissioner, can we have a dialogue, so, you know, one listens and the other one, so.
No, but
everybody-
I expressed that.
Yeah, but, you know, if we have a question, we need to answer that question. So everybody listens and everybody makes an intelligent decision at the end of whenever we're gonna vote on this. So, anybody else has any questions? Yes. Commissioner, Vice Mayor
Madam
Blanes.
Clerk, why do they want to do it there? What is the benefit of doing it there as to doing it at the library on A Street and
It's a flag.
Because it says, it states on the letter, the facility has been surveyed by the Elections Department and found to be suitable. That's their, what they state on their letter, on their request.
so because it's just suitable for them?
Yes,
No other reason?
not other that I see here, other that maybe for the convenience of our electors of West Miami having a polling place close to, within our city.
I got one more question. Is the library still a place where they hold elections there as well?
I
want
cannot
to flag it,
answer
yes.
that question,
We want to
Mr.
flag it,
Mayor.
yes.
Okay.
I did vote the last time there.
I asked the clerk, please.
No, but
Well,
she doesn't know, I tell you.
I asked, the question was to the clerk, please. I don't want this to become, you know, a discussion. I wanted to have the question answered. Yes, Commissioner Rodriguez.
Mr. Mayor, we're referring to the library on Flagler and 60-something,
50, that's there.
and I know Coral Gables has elections there. So what about our library, Fairlawn? Why was that ever taken into consideration as a site? That would be convenient for the electors, and it's within our city, so was Fairlawn, do we know if Fairlawn was even considered?
From what I know, because I asked that question when we were requested the community center for early voting, and they said that they had issues with parking space because this library is small and the parking lot is very small, and they had issues with that kind of situation.
I think that we also have the same issues. So if
Parking?
they're talking about parking being an issue, we have the same issues. You know, when they say suitable, you know, using some reason here, and I think it's fair that we consider this. But if I was working for the elections department, and I had a choice between being in a library or being in a place where I had a kitchen and a bathroom, and it was suitable for me to best be there, then a library. I think I would choose the suitable place. So if we decide to suit them, you know, we are inconveniencing, like Commissioner Suarez says, all our seniors for the sake of making it suitable for the election department.
I understand.
So we now need to see what is the best interest here. You know, our seniors or the election department. I mean, what do you all think about what I've just
No,
said?
I'll hold my comments and my questions to the end. I want to hear from everybody. And Commissioner Blanca, anything you want to add to it?
Well, I think the Flagler is nearby.
Mhm.
And how about the one on 57 and 17 that we both there,
The church.
the church?
But-
We can use that.
Quick question. Did they always have this voting at the place on Flagler?
The
Uh,
primary, yes, the primary, yes.
I don't know, we don't know.
I don't have an answer for that question,
Okay,
Vice Mayor.
the elections department,
Mhm.
the precinct, where were they doing this before?
As far as I can recollect from the request for early voting.
Where are they moving from?
Okay, they said that at that time, that they had just recently received an authorization to use community centers as polling places. That's why their request originated last year for the use of the community center as a polling place.
So it would be
It had
a-
not been authorized before.
Okay, so it would be a courtesy for us to let them use our community center, to a great extent here.
I would say yes.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. They can open in the Open Bible Temple, 5720 Southwest 17th Street. It's right here.
Yes, I understand we use that, I mean, it has been used as a polling place for
Always.
other elections.
Yes,
Mayor,
Commissioner Suarez, yes.
let me explain you to the table. The clerk received the request from the election department. She received the letter. The discussion have to be among us. She received the letter. She's telling us the letter she received for the election department. The election department asked and request their convenience to use our community center for their work. It's their convenience, not our convenience. For me, this is a very inconvenience. Election departments, they pretend or they planning to do those activities here, but what about our activities? For years, we have been fighting to get money to get the food for the seniors, to get money to get the food, to get money to get the teachers, for the painting teachers, for the woman who comes to do, the exercises, the other woman who comes to do, crochet. We have been fighting to get money for those teachers, those professors, whatever you want to call, to come to entertain, give health and good things to our residents. For me, this is on top, it's a priority, that the election department's convenience. If they make a letter asking their convenience, that's their idea. But in my opinion, should be not our idea to make them happy and unhappy our residents. That's my opinion.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, perhaps we should look at this as pros and cons. Let's take emotions out of it, let's take feelings out of it, let's look at pros and cons. What's good about letting them use it, what's bad about it, and then let's make a decision. Simple pros and cons. Take emotions, take feelings, take, our wants and not wants out of it. Pros and cons. What are the pros of having them use it? Anybody? What are the pros of having them use it?
I can tell you what the pros are. The pros are, before I answer that, let me ask one question. When you said 3 days, because I remember, and I want to clarify that, you said they need it for 3 days. But you said something that last time, the first day, there was no interference because they placed a machine on the side.
They put it on the side and they set it up, on the following day, they set up the equipment. So on the
Okay.
day of the delivery, it wasn't, but don't take that as a, I mean.
No, it's not a done deal. It's just an experience. What
Yes,
happened?
it was an experience.
What happened on the, so the day of the election, obviously, they didn't remove it. They removed it the
They
next
are
day.
here since 5 o'clock in the morning.
So, okay, no. After the election,
After the election, on the day after the election, they pick up the equipment within the day. According to their letter, it says at 5:30, they request access to the facility at 12 o'clock on the day prior, and then at 5:30 on the day of election, and then after the date of election, they pick up the equipment within the day.
within the day. So
They
don't
leave
expect
at
a-
7.
So,
By the time they count, it's almost 8 o'clock, so I doubted they would pick it up the same.
no, the next day. So that's why,
The following day.
that's why it's 3 days. Okay. So, yeah. So going back to pros and cons, the only thing, and I know there's a lot of inconvenience, and I know that we, including myself, I'm very protective of our citizens, the senior citizen. But I always look at the big picture, and the big picture is, this country is one of the few countries in the world that holds election. Okay? And you know, that's the number one principle in this country, and that's why I live here. So keep that, when you vote, keep that in the back of your mind. Yes, we will be inconveniencing the senior citizen, but I think election is a very important part of this country. So I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Think about it before you vote. Inconvenience, yes, we're going to inconvenience the senior citizens. We already have a clarification that we will be paid for whatever
Reimbursed.
we will be reimbursed. Are we going to be fully reimbursed?
According to what they state,
Okay,
yes, Mr.
so-
Mayor.
We have been in the past.
The biggest thing I see is the inconvenience. And I know that seniors, when you interrupt their activity and you get them out of the routine, I know that's very, very important. So we just got to waive it.
Mr. Mayor?
May I,
Yes,
Go ahead.
may I talk again?
yes, go ahead.
Mayor, let me make a conversation with you. Until now, that day has been no use in this for election. In this country, always has been elections. If they make the election downstairs or not, that doesn't mean it's not going to be election in this country. There has been election all over the other places. The only thing is that the convenience for them is what I think is an inconvenience for us. Now, let me ask you, Yolanda, when you remove the seniors to the how to call
The Renaissance.
Renaissance, do they reimburse all the money?
No, not the rental of the facility.
They did not reimburse the rental, they did not reimburse many things. We lost money. So what they reimburse? Peanuts. And I don't think, in my opinion, they should take care of their business in their places, not come to do their business in our place, and do not, they have no minimum care about our residents. They don't care. An election will be, Mayor, here or there, in the Bible, Open Bible, in the Flag Public Library, in many other places, the elections always has been done and always will be.
Okay. Vice Mayor, one last comment and then
Thank you.
let's vote.
I happen to agree with Commissioner Suarez. There is going to be an election that day, or the next day, or the third day. And it could very well be 2, 3, 4 blocks away from our senior center. I tell you, as I walk into that senior center at the time that the seniors are there, and I see them enjoying themselves, socializing, having their lunch, doing their activities. I would really, really, really hate, for them to know that I have something to do with them not being able to be there for those 3 days. And you know what? I cannot, with a good conscience, vote to give the elections department that courtesy. They can do it somewhere else. That is not an issue. And, they might not even be so much considering our center so much. Maybe they, are considering maybe using the other facility, because I am sure they sent this letter out to several places. So, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's do or die for them if we don't give them our facility as a courtesy. So, like I say, I would just hate, as a matter of fact, I'm not gonna stand for it, to be, for them to think that I have something to do with it. So I am in agreement with Commissioner Suarez.
Okay, so let's,
Clarification for you, because there are two conflicting stories. Does it cost us or it doesn't cost us? Do we?
If I may, Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
answer
go ahead.
to Commissioner Rhonda Rodriguez. If they use our venue and we have to employ staff to clean the facility afterwards, they will reimburse the city for any cost that we have associated with opening the venue early or closing it late, the maintenance, any effort otherwise that would take us basically out of our normal routine would be reimbursed. However, in the case where the city had to rent a venue so that the room was available for the purpose of, and that was for renovations of the community center, and another time for voting, we had to rent the Renaissance. The rental expense was not reimbursed by the election department.
So that will happen again, because the seniors have to go.
You have the multipurpose facility where we have relocated them during early voting.
voting.
However, it all depends on the schedule of the early voting because we've got summer camp. So if you're talking about an August election, we need to keep in mind if they're going to set up early voting at the venue, and this is something that they will deal with separately from this agreement that they're proposing now that the clerk is bringing to your attention. Obviously, if we relocate our seniors, that may throw a monkey wrench on our summer program. And obviously, we have more kids in the summer than we have during the course of the year. Again, we're dealing with two separate requests. Tonight, you're dealing with a request so that our community center is considered a voting precinct for the elections as stated by the clerk. Then you have another issue that will come to you eventually, which would be an early voting venue. So you will be tackling with two issues separate and apart from each other. So
My
if
concern-
the elections do not interfere with summer camp, then we can relocate our seniors to that venue at the multipurpose facility. If that is not an option, then if you approve this tonight, we need to be conscientious of the fact that in order for us not to interrupt the services, we would have to look at the Renaissance or a venue that will house our senior citizens. And it would be transferring an array of services over there. It's not only the lunch.
So it's
You're talking about the classes and
it's a
everything.
very good
So
possibility.
it all depends on what time of year these elections occur and what activities we have at the rec and how we could accommodate them.
Just a note for reference before we vote, based on what the manager's saying, this agreement that we'll be voting yea or nay on, it says here that we are allowing the use of the facility for any federal, state, county, municipal, or district election. So that's pretty wide. If we say yes, we're saying yes to any of this.
Right.
So it
Presidential elections, countywide elections, state elections, and local elections. Obviously, we hold ours there because they're municipal elections, and we got to be guided by your code that says City Hall shall be the only polling place for our municipal elections.
So this is quite broad. Okay.
Mayor, may I?
Sure.
Sure thing. On top of that, remember, early voting is 2 or 3 weeks, and they may extend it to 4 weeks. So we're going to take our residents, our senior, the more vulnerable people from our area, 3 or 4 weeks out of their environment.
but that's not what we're voting tonight. That's not what we're voting tonight.
You accept that? Is early voting?
No, it's not.
Read it. Any vote, any election.
Madam Clerk, is early voting included in
No,
this?
this request is specifically for election day, not early voting. Early voting is handled separately from election day.
but early voting will be in the same place. Clear that, because I know this is early voting, this. When you open for elections, early voting too. Open your eyes.
Let's vote.
Can you, are you
In the
certain, Madam Clerk? I'm going to ask you the question again.
Mr. Mayor, in the conversation I had with John Mendez from the Elections Department, he was clear that this request is only for election date, that this is not a request for the use of the community center as an early voting place.
But it's not on the
I
paper.
think that it will come at the time before elections, sometimes next year or on the following year, it will come to your, it will be presented to your consideration. But at this moment, the request is for election
Election
day.
day.
Thank you. Can we take this to a vote, please? I need a motion.
Motion
Yeah.
to approve or motion to deny the use of the community center as a polling place?
Motion to deny.
Okay? and-
Second.
Okay, I have a second. Can you call the vote, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Commissioner Rodriguez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanca?
Yes.
Commissioner Suarez?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanes?
Yes.
Mayor Mujina?
I vote no, and the reason is, because I had to say the reason. The reason is, people in this country go to war, and they sacrifice their loved ones for the freedom of having this country. So, I vote no.
Yes, the yes have it. So the motion passes to deny the use of the community center as a polling place for election day.
Okay? Next item?
Next item will be, I think we've covered our agenda in its entirety. Correct me if I'm wrong.
10C.
10C.
10C, I'm sorry. 10C, follow-up report by the Office of the City Manager and Director of Public Works in reference to from office and police department expansions by City Manager and Director of Public Works.
And I believe Mr. Penn and I present a recommendation to defer that until such time. Our finances are there to be able to address the issue of both expansions. Obviously, these expansions we plan either through grant application or a combination of grant, impact fees, and other funds that can be dedicated to the efforts.
Correct. We're still waiting on the SDA.
Right. The
Thank you.
USDA grant
Right.
and some other issues, so we're not prepared for this. So if I may ask the clerk to defer this item until further notice, and
Okay.
we will come back to you with this.
Duly noted.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
That's it.
Good of the order. Anything for the good of the order? Okay. Need a motion to adjourn? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.